Welcome to the Class Business Podcast. I'm Krissy Monaghan, your host, and today we're joined by James Aconley, who, alongside his wife Natalie, has been running PQA Performing Arts Academies for the past 13 years. Together, they now operate 4 territories across York, Scarborough, Beverley and Hull, providing performing arts training for children and young people through musical theatre, comedy and drama, and film and television. Growing one academy into 4 territories is a huge achievement, which makes James a very worthy finalist for Scaling Business of the Year at the Class Business Awards. I'm really excited about this conversation, so let's dive in. James, it's absolutely amazing to have you here with us today on the podcast. For everyone who is listening online or watching us on YouTube, please tell everyone who you are, what do you do, and where do you do it?
Hi everyone, my name's James. I run 4 Pauline Quirke Academy of Performing Arts franchises across North and East Yorkshire, and within that we train and look after and develop 500 young people aged 4 to 18 every weekend.
Wow, 500 people. Is that how many people are coming to your classes across those areas? That's epic.
Yeah, it is. It was a target we were trying to reach for such a long time, and then we finally did it. So we can say that that's what we do.
Hey, smashed it! And you've been running the business for a long time. How many years?
Yeah, so we'll be coming up to 13 years running the business this October. So I started straight after university. Actually, it was the first thing I did, and kind of never looked back. Obviously, lived through a pandemic, and now my wife does it with me as well, and we both work on the business full time. So it's certainly grown over that past 13 years that we've been operating.
And I take it you did performing arts then? Like, is that what you did when you were growing up as a child?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why it's so important to me now. You know, it's one of those things whereby children and young people are, put into these school groups, essentially like thrown together, just depending on their age and their location. And actually, they go through that period of time, and they've potentially not actually found, their people. They've probably found people that they're mates with and that kind of thing. But those real solid friendships and their tribe, if you like, quite often comes from extracurricular activities, class providers, those types of things. And that's what I found growing up, getting involved in performing arts. I was out every night of the week and then at the weekend doing these types of things. So to be able to pass those opportunities on to the next generation is just brilliant. I feel very, very lucky to do it as a job.
And the fact that you went from university straight into a franchise, did you know anything about franchising? Did you research, or was it just literally like you just did it?
Yeah, I just found it. I mean, I was involved throughout university. I was involved in a few other kind of performing arts franchises, and I taught singing and drama throughout that period of time. So I was kind of aware of the landscape. And then, funnily enough, there is an industry newspaper for the performing arts called The Stage, and I was flicking through it, and there was a big advert, so saying we're looking for people to open Pauline Quirke Academy of Performing Arts and it actually named some cities and towns that they wanted to focus on, and one of them was York, and that's where I was living at the time, and that's where I went to university. And it said no franchise fee, and I was like, I'll just give this a go. And it was really funny. On the same day, I applied to go through the recruitment process for PQA, and I also auditioned for the Bridlington Spa summer season show as a performer. And I thought, no chance with PQA. I might get the summer season. Actually worked the other way around. I didn't get the show, but I did get PQA.
Well, can you just go into a bit more detail what PQA is? Because me and you have had conversations, because I absolutely love it. I think it's an incredible brand, and I just love the way it's constructed. So just tell everyone, what do you actually do? Because there's so many different elements.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the core of it, we're a weekend performing arts academy, and our three main modules are comedy and drama, musical theatre, and film and TV. So when the students come to PQA, they're not just getting kind of musical theatre tuition, they're getting something much more broad than that, which is quite exciting and really touching on those much more prominent art forms that children and young people are into all the time, like Netflix and TV and YouTube and all the rest of it. I think sometimes if children and young people don't necessarily go to the theatre, they think that they're not really engaging with the arts. But as soon as you say to them, who watched something on TV last night, those types of questions, it starts to kind of open the children's eyes to how broad that can be. But then I think as well, one of our biggest things is building on all those life skills as well. So our learning approach, the way that works is all of our projects that we offer are broken down into what industry skills it's teaching, but then what transferable skills that's giving the students in terms of, outside of the performing arts, just general life skills. Obviously there's the usual stuff like confidence and that kind of thing, but it's really looking at things like leadership, resilience, self-belief. Self-belief is different to confidence. Self-belief is a real kind of inside feeling of believing in oneself. And I think actually in this day and age when children are going through so many different things and social media and exam pressure and friendship pressure, if they can find a place, it might be PQA, it might be something entirely different, but if they can find a group of people that enables that young person to really, truly, deeply believe in themselves and their own capabilities, then, I'm a parent as well, and that's all I want for my daughter. Do you know what I mean? It's the most important thing.
That's what I love about it. I love the fact that you do like the filming part, the writing scripts, the actual the back end as well as the front end, because you can be a performer, but there obviously is amazing people out there who are directors and script writers and everything else. And that's what I love about the brand. I think it's such a great brand. And yeah, you're very proud to be running 4 areas. So did you start off with just York?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started in York in 2013. In 2014, we expanded and we opened another territory. We opened Scarborough, then did a bit more expansion in York, and then we did Beverley, and then we did Hull. So now we're across kind of a big, broad spectrum of North and East Yorkshire. And I think part of that initially was, I was really young. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And you don't have any sense of risk, do you? But it's paid off because, we've now got these beautiful, beautiful areas that we can work in, and it's great.
Yeah. And you've got a big team. How many people are on the team?
So we've got 25 people on the team at the moment, and that is made up of our academy teachers who are obviously responsible for running the sessions. We've got our academy assistants, and they're quite often, younger people at the start of their career. They might be at university now, for example, and they're supporting our teachers and developing their own practice. And then we have academy managers who look after our locations. I can't be in 4 places at once. So if I'm not there, they're there to do that. And then we've also got people who work with us in the office, so social media, parent communications, those types of things as well. So, for people who want it, we can actually provide a really good income for people. So I think as well as us being able to provide those amazing opportunities to 500 young people, there's also an army of creatives and teachers and professionals who were also able to provide opportunities for work to as well.
Yeah, and that's incredible. And when did your wife come on board then?
So we got married in 2019. We got married at the end of 2019, and we had 3 weeks off for our wedding. And we realised we've actually been together since we were 15 and 16, and we realised that we hadn't spent that long a period of time together ever. And at the time, she was working in a radio sales job. She was working Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, and then I was working evenings and weekends. And we were just like passing ships. And it was after our wedding, and we kind of crunched some numbers, and we're like, do you reckon we could do this together? So we got back to work, and Nat handed her notice in, and we decided to jump all in, see what happened. 3 months later, COVID happened and we had to shut down. So that was a bit terrifying. But, we we worked it all out, and yeah, here we are now, and we managed to, as I say, we're parents, and we're able to spin that plate as well as the PQA plate, as well as everything else that goes on at home. So it certainly has its challenges, but you know, we feel very lucky to be able to do that, and also for our daughter to be able to see us go to work doing something that we love, you know. And she's got her own little PQA. She's not old enough to come yet, but she's got her own little PQA uniform that she wears if she comes into classes and stuff. And I think just that idea of letting her see that work can be something that you enjoy is so important to us.
Yeah.
That's important as well. You know, that, as I say, you know, it's not something that we moan about or complain about. You know, we love it and we're excited to go to work. And if we can instill that as well, I think that's also another brilliant benefit of what we're doing.
It totally will. But I could just imagine that you guys just, hopefully you're not 24/7 talking about work, because when you work together, sometimes it can feel like that.
It is difficult.
You're like, yes, I don't want to hear about that today.
Yeah, I know. Can we not talk about it, please?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously you've grown the business from 1 child to 500. So talk us through that growth. Obviously, you've been in the game a long time. 13 years is a long time to be in the game. You've probably seen a lot of things change over those years in terms of marketing. So what have you seen, and how is the landscape different now, probably to what it was like last year?
Yeah, so I think I've been thinking about this a lot actually, and it's a harder landscape now. I think it's really difficult. There's so many more providers, first of all, and which is obviously a great thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, that choice is brilliant. But also I think parents they trust less, I think, and they also need to, generally speaking, be more conscious of the choices that they're making due to, you know, financial reasons and other pressures and that kind of thing as well. So that really is more difficult. I think in the early days when we first started, like and this was, I don't know if this was industry-wide, but it was certainly network-wide within PQA. We could start or launch an academy and it would be full like within weeks, and it was like really buzzy and amazing, and that was great. But it's a different world now. You know, these things take a lot longer. We you know, splash our marketing everywhere, and it tended to be a lot of obviously social media was not what it is now. So there was a bit of social media going on, but it was a lot of like grassrootsy stuff. Then I think we went through a period where it was all digital. You know, social media was blooming, but it wasn't a space that we were, I think it was a space that we trusted because it was all quite new technology, and let's face it was all real humans that were on there. And you would trust what you saw. And then it's now gone full circle, I think, where actually we're all becoming a bit more savvy. Technology's advancing, and therefore we can't always trust what we see. And now it's gone back to being important that they see people, and they see there is that grassroots local element to it all as well. You know, simple things that you forget about, like flyering and putting posters up at the leisure centre and that kind of thing. We're going back, I think, to that, as well as having all of this benefit of the digital stuff as well. So, and I think it's going to continue to change. I think the other key change that we noticed as well is coming out of the pandemic, families quite rightly wanted to make sure that they were supporting local businesses. So I think there was a period of time where everybody was looking to the independents, which was obviously great for the independents because, you know, they're doing the same thing we are. Do you know what I mean? But I think as well there's that conversation around a franchise business. Yes, it might be called PQA York or whatever, but actually it's just me and my wife. We live 15 minutes down the road. We shop in the same shops as you do. We've got a daughter. We're doing all the same things as those other people. And I think there's that messaging that we have to get right as well, in terms of aren't we lucky to be part of this and we can provide these opportunities, but actually we're also this as well. And that's something that we've been working on a lot over the past kind of 12 to 18 months too.
Yeah, I know you've been working hard on the personal brand, because basically, the logo is great, like having that overall brand, but it's the people behind the brand that people are buying into now. And so I know you were working hard to showcase the people behind the team, the delivery. So do you want to talk us through about a bit, like, what's that been like to be more on camera, be more
I mean, to be fair, like before the pandemic, I used to do it all the time. I used to always go live on our Facebook pages and that kind of thing. And then I think I got a bit bogged down by it, because when we obviously closed due to the pandemic and we moved all of our classes online, we did them all on Zoom. But then before all the Zooms, I would go around each of our 4 Facebook pages and essentially do what we called a virtual assembly. So at the beginning of our session, we got all the students in and we do kind of round up the session. So I was doing that, but online. So every single week for however long that was, a few months, I was doing 4 live virtual assemblies on the trot, then jumping onto Zoom for all of Saturday and then all of Sunday morning to deliver these classes. And I think after that period, I was like, I can't do that anymore. Yeah. But as we've just said, it's become more important than ever. So now I've kind of started to go back into that, but this time taking a slightly different stance. And now it's been more about my, as you said before, Krissy, the personal brand pages. So like my own James Aconley Instagram, sometimes collaborating with our PQA pages and that kind of thing. And that started for me when I realised that, you know, you look at people like Richard Branson and Virgin, right? Yeah. And Virgin has got a lot less followers and engagement on Instagram than Richard Branson does. And it was that moment I was like, oh, that's really, really, really interesting. And it's just proof there that, you know, that's what people are interested in seeing. So I think to start with, when I first made I just made my Instagram public, got rid of some of the old posts and that kind of thing. And it was a little bit cringy to start with, because obviously everybody following was like old friends of mine, and they're all going, you know, what are you doing that for, type of thing. But then as that's grown, it's got better. And I think, I mean, outside of PQA, I also run a theatre company, and I also run an adult musical theatre choir. So for me, it was about building that into one kind of ecosystem, if you like, so that at any age, at any point in your journey, there'll be something that you can do with me, type of thing. And that's kind of quite important to me as well.
So how the heck do you manage 3 different businesses then?
25 team members is the answer to that. I'm very, very trusting. And I think as well, you know, it's maybe not that simple. I think we work really hard in terms of making sure there's a brilliant culture within our team and an ethos within our team. So we do termly meetings, for instance. We bring people in to kind of deliver training on certain things that we think we either need help with or that is really particularly important to us at any given moment. And I think that means that if I am not there in the room, the team are making decisions that kind of feel like me decisions. You know, the best thing is when I'm talking through a situation with a team member after it's happened and we're reflecting on it, and the team member says, I just thought, what would James do? And that's like, excellent, there we are. And that means that I can I can shift focus a little bit and go on to other things. I mean, all of that being said, we have such a good level of communication with the team and with the parents and with the students that if a parent calls me up and says, you know, how's Molly getting on at PQA at the moment? You know, I can either respond straight away and I can tell them exactly how Molly's getting on, or it'll take me 30 minutes to pop a couple of notes in our WhatsApp chat with our team. And then before you know it, I can go back with a really detailed response. And that parent feedback's important too. So I think we've managed to create something that on the ground still feels like me, and in terms of parents getting in touch, it still feels like they're getting a real personable and personal service.
Yeah, and must take some work. Obviously, yeah, coordinating 25 people, bringing them all in. Was there, obviously one of the biggest issues I know in the sector people have is recruitment. How do you find your right people?
That's a difficult thing to do. That is a really difficult thing to do. And that's changed as well. When we first started, if I put a job ad out, I'd get like 10, 20, 30 applications for a job. And then I think that goes back to the sector being much bigger and there being more choice. So therefore people are, getting work in more and more places. But also for our particular sector, the performing arts sector, a lot of people left the industry during the pandemic, and there was a period of time where people were going off doing other things and kind of retraining, and therefore they weren't available or weren't interested in teaching musical theatre, for instance, on a Saturday. That's coming back again now, so that's better. And I think just generally, it goes back to that building that ethos and that culture within the team, and it gets to a point, I think, where as long as the vast majority of people in the team feel a certain way, other people are going to come in and they're either going to get on board and they'll stay, or they'll probably realise that it's not for them, and they'll make the right decision for themselves. I mean, occasionally, we need to kind of manage people a little bit more to get them into the spirit of what we're trying to do. But 9 times out of 10 the team kind of do that for us. It's kind of like, come on, like, get involved type thing, and we're all about mucking in, and I used to work somewhere else before PQA where, I was teaching on Saturday morning, and I would turn up at 10 o'clock, leave at 1 o'clock, teach singing for 3 hours and not see any other member of the team or speak to anybody. And that was something that I wanted to really quickly change. So now every single week, and, before we open the doors for 15 minutes, we're having a staff meeting, we'll have a staff debrief at the end. And it's just those touch points that I think build that culture as well. So, I think that's how we do it, and it generally works.
It sounds incredible. And obviously you're a finalist with us at the Class Business Awards.
Yeah.
We're only halfway through the year. So what's the, and you said you hit your 500 goal. So what's the business plan for the rest of the year?
So we're obviously going to be going into our biggest recruitment period. September, as I'm sure is the case for all of the children's activity sector, is such a key point, with people starting new things and moving into new school years. So we're now focusing on getting September ready, essentially, and starting to get that infrastructure in place and the communications ready and that kind of thing, leading us through to Christmas, which in January is our other key recruitment point. So we're coming into a really fruitful part of the year, which is going to be absolutely great. And then we're launching 3 new classes for 4 to 5-year-olds. That's our Poppets class, which is our youngest class. So we're really focusing on, really building that lower end so that we can hopefully have them with us for 14 years and they can leave at 18 and that kind of thing. So we've got 3 new Poppets classes launching in September, and potentially another new territory at some point in the near future. You heard it here first.
Wow, take on some more. Yeah, do it. Obviously, you're growing fast. So you've got the 4 classes for the younger age group. Now, you said you've got a daughter. How old's your daughter?
She will be 3 next week.
So have you and your wife experienced the other providers like baby and toddler classes? Have you engaged?
We have, honestly. Well, I mean, go back to the beginning of this conversation. Like I am so passionate about clubs and activities. I think it's the most important thing for children, and we wanted her to be involved right from the beginning. She went to swimming as soon as she possibly could. She does a baby music class. She does 2 dance classes. So we were on the other end of that as well. And I think that's obviously been beautiful to see for all the reasons I've already mentioned. But I mean, from a kind of professional point of view and from a kind of work point of view, you really begin to see what is what is important to the parents and actually what's not as important to the parents. And I think sometimes we were on the right kind of lines, and then other times we were way off. Do you know what I mean? And so that's been quite eye-opening as well.
But I'm interested in that then. So from your perspective as a parent, what do you look for? What are you looking for your daughter?
So we are looking for good communication from the provider. We're looking for feedback's an interesting thing, because obviously at the moment, I mean, this all changed in September, but at the moment, all of her classes are parent assisted. So obviously you can kind of see what they're doing already. But it is sometimes quite nice to hear from the teacher, like, you know, we can see, or we think that she's developing. What do you think, type of thing? So that's quite interesting, and those really good levels of communication. Going into an activity and feeling welcome, both as a parent and as the child as well, you know, knowing their names. That's something we take really seriously at PQA, and when I notice it in other providers, that's great. The things that I think are not so important are... I think actually, you know, the one thing, it sounds like a really bizarre thing, but I think if we used to have a snow day or something like that, I used to be like, this is the end of the world. If we cancel PQA today, everyone's going to leave, was my belief. And then now I get a little text from swimming and it says, oh, your class teacher's ill, you'll have it credited, you don't come in today. And you just look at it and you go, okay, no worries, I'll get on with my day, type of thing. And I'm obviously not saying we should all be cancelling classes left, right and centre, but I think that, I suppose what I've taken from that is, yes, we're really important to the child. Yes, we're really important to the parent, but also we're just one thing of lots of things. And we do have a little bit of flexibility. Like, we have to be good. We have to be all those things I've just described, but parents are understanding, I think, is what I'm trying to say. You know, they're understanding of things sometimes not going quite right, and sometimes I think we just need to give ourselves a little bit of space.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you're giving it from your perspective as a professional and as a parent going into classes. Because I used to always have this motto as well, because obviously I ran my own messy play business, and everyone used to design these beautiful trays and everything else. And I used to be like, kids will play with black bags if you put black bags on the floor. You don't need to spend so much time on that bit. Focus on the welcome, focus on the experience. And I think, sometimes people get, too many props, too many this, too much stuff. You don't actually need it all. And you just need to deliver a good quality class. Oh, well, James, I've loved finding out about PQA and you and what you're building. For people that want to come to your classes, like, obviously, after seeing this, they're going to definitely want to come. Where's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
So people can connect with me. I'm mostly on Instagram, and that's at James Aconley. And from there, you can find out about all of our PQA businesses and the other things that I'm doing as well, or on our website, which is just pqacademy.com.
Brilliant. And if there's a provider out there who wants to learn more about building their team, because you've done it and you've done it extremely well, where's the best place? Instagram as well?
Yeah, absolutely, on Instagram. And that's something that I'm really kind of looking to expand on, as you know, Krissy, over the next kind of 6-12 months. I think, I've been doing it for such a long time, and people kind of come to me for advice already, and just to kind of formalize that and be able to share that experience wider is really important. As I mentioned before, it's such a good thing that there's so much choice now for parents in the sector, and I just want everybody, all the providers, to do it really well, but also get the most out of it for themselves as well.
For sure. And you've got, like I said, so much experience and knowledge. There can't be that many people out there running 4 territories with a team of 25 who's been in the game for 13 years, plus all the experience that you had beforehand, in the performing arts world. So definitely connect with James if you are at a stage where you're trying to grow your team, or you're just generally having issues with your team, because sometimes there's a disconnect, isn't there, like you said? and that you want to get the best out of them. Oh, well, I can't wait to meet you in person on the 10th of October, and I'm sure loads of people are going to want to come and connect with you as well on the 10th of October. It's been brilliant to have you here today. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me. Speak to you soon.